Hi, good afternoon, friends. Welcome to 360 TMJ interview preparation session. So today I'm here with one more topic. In the topic, we will discuss some interview preparation questions. Okay. So today we will discuss about clustering. From the first question, already it is unsupervised learning. First question. What is clustering? What is clustering? Clustering is a machine learning technique that involves the grouping of data points. So we can group the data points based on similarities. So this is nothing but clustering. So we can write like clustering is a machine learning technique that involves grouping of data points based on similarity. This is nothing but clustering. So next question. So what is the advantage of K-means clustering? Advantage of K-means clustering. So K-means clustering is pretty fast for computing the distances between points and group centers, or we can call centroids. It's pretty fast for computing the distances between points and group centers. Yes, this is the advantage of K-means clustering. Next question. Which methods are useful to find K value in K-means clustering? Which methods are useful to find K value in K-means clustering? So we know already in K-means clustering, first we need to define K value. So what methods we have? So we have here two methods. First one is First one is the elbow method. And another method is silhouette method. Silhouette method. These two methods we use to find k-value in K-means cluster. Next question. So, what is elbow method? So, just now I said like it is used to find the k-value in K-means cluster. So, how we will find k-value by using this method, elbow method. So, in this method, so the method consisting of the plotting of explained variation as a function of number of clusters and picking the elbow of the curve as the number of clusters to use. So we can write like this as in cluster analysis. The elbow method used in determining the number of clusters in a data set the method consisting of, or you can say this method consisting of plotting the explained variation as a function of the number of clusters and picking the elbow of the curve as the number of clusters to use. So it is consisting of plotting the explained variation as a function of the number of clusters and the elbow. So based on this, so we can define the k-value in this method. And next question. How do you use the silhouette method in a K-means cluster? How do you use the So in this method, simply we pick a range of values of k. Some range of values we can take, and then we'll apply k-means clustering for each of the values of k. Then find the average distance of each point in a cluster to its centroid and represent it in a plot. And finally, we can select the value where the average distance falls suddenly. So these are the steps we use in this method to find the k value. In this method, we pick a range of values of k, then apply k-means clustering using each of the values of k next. Find the average distance of each point in a cluster to its centroid and represent it in a plot. Next, the value of k where average distance falls suddenly. So this is select method. Next question. So what are the disadvantages of k-means clustering? What are the disadvantages of k-means clustering? So first one is difficult to predict k value, and next different initial partitions can result in different final cluster. So based on uh, initial partition, we can find the final cluster. So these are the main two disadvantages of k-means cluster. Difficult to predict k value. Second one, different initial partitions can result in different final clusters. These are the two disadvantages of K-means clustering. Next question. So what is K-medians clustering? What is K-median clustering? K-median clustering, it is a cluster analysis algorithm. It is the variation of K-means cluster, where instead of calculating the mean for each cluster, so to determine from its centroid, so we can calculate median. So instead of mean, we will calculate median. The algorithm is same. K-medians clustering is a cluster analysis algorithm is a variation of K-means clustering where instead of calculating mean for each cluster to determine its centroid, so one instead calculates the median. This is the difference between K-means clustering and K-median clustering. So next question. What is main shift clustering? What is main shift clustering? So main shift clustering is a sliding window based algorithm, so that attempts to find dense areas of data points. So dense areas in the sense where we have two types again: large dense, short dense. Large dense is nothing but more number of data points will be together in a one place. So it is used for that category. So to find dense areas, main shift clustering is a sliding window based algorithm that attempts to find dense areas of data points. So this is nothing but mean shift clustering. Next question. What is the advantage of K-means clustering? Sorry, what is the advantage of mean shift clustering than K-means clustering? So, which advantage we have than K-means clustering in mean shift clustering? So, what is the advantage of than So very simple thing in mean shift clustering, no need to select the number of clusters like that is in k-means. So it automatically discovers. So in k-means clustering, we can decide the number of clusters, but here we cannot uh, define. It automatically discovers. In mean shift clustering, no need to select the number of clusters like what we did in k-means. So it automatically discovers. Yes. This is advantage. Next question. So what is Hdb Scan used for? What is Hdb Scan used for? It is also one type of clustering algorithm. So it is clustering algorithm used in machine learning to separate clusters of high density from cluster of low density. So high density clusters and low density will be separated in this clustering algorithm. Hdb Scan is a clustering method that is used in machine learning to separate clusters of high density clusters of low density. So next question. How does DB scan algorithm work? So it is completely density-based clustering algorithm. So it is works on the assumption that clusters are dense regions in space separated by regions of lower density, and it groups the density group data points into a single cluster. So based on density, the clusters are separated. How does DB scan algorithm work? DB scan is a density-based clustering algorithm that works on the assumption that clusters of clusters are in dense region in space separated by regions of lower density. Okay, the full form of DB scan is a density-based spatial clustering of applications with noise. So it is a clustering algorithm. We can discuss for some huge number of data sets. Yes. And we can mention, so it groups density group data points in a single cluster. Yes. So this is in this way DB scan will work. Next question. What are the advantages of DB scan? What are the advantages of DB scan? So DB scan does not require one to specify the number of clusters in the data. It is opposite to K-means. In K-means, we can decide the number of clusters. Here, no need to define. And second advantage is it can find arbitrary shaped cluster. So arbitrary orbital shape, such type of clusters we can find, and it can even find a cluster completely surrounded by a different cluster. So these are the three advantages of DB scan. First one, DB scan does not require one to specify the number of clusters in the data as opposite to K-means. Next, it can find arbitrary shaped clusters it can even find a cluster completely surrounded by different cluster. These are the advantages of DB scan. Next question. What are the disadvantages of DB scan? So DB scan algorithm fails in case of varying density clusters. If density clusters are varying, so it is not applicable and does not work well in case of high dimensional data. If data are having huge dimension, so it is impossible to cluster. DB scan algorithm fails in case of varying density clusters second one does not work well in case of high dimensional data. So these are the advantages of DB scan. Next question. So what is mini batch K-means? What is mini batch K-means? So it is alternative to K-means algorithm for clustering of massive data sets. So the advantage is, so computational cost means here instead of total data set, it can take some sample. So this is the advantage than K-means clustering. K-means, mini batch K-means has been proposed as alternative to the K-means clustering. For massive data sets. The advantage of this algorithm is to reduce computational cost by not using all the data set. This is many batch K-means. Next question. So why GMM is better than K-means? So GMM is nothing but Gaussian mixture models for representing normally distributed subpopulation within overall population. This is GMM. Now our question is, why GMM is better than K-means? So K-means only considers the mean to update the centroid, while GMM takes into account the mean as well as the variance of the data. So in K-means we consider mean, here we can consider along variance also. That's why GMM is better than K-means. GMM nothing but Gaussian mixture models. K-means only considers the mean to update while GMM takes into account the mean as well as variance of the data. Next question. What is hard clustering? So it is one type of classification, hard clustering and soft clustering. So in hard clustering, it is about grouping the data items such that each item is only assigned to one cluster. So we are grouping the items, but every item belongs to only one cluster. This is nothing but hard clustering. So we can take Gmm clustering as example for this hard clustering. Hard clustering is about grouping the data items, or grouping the data item such that each item is only assigned to one cluster. So this is hard clustering. Example, we take as Gmm cluster. Next question. What is soft clustering? What is soft clustering? So in soft clustering, so instead of putting each data point into a separate cluster, a probability or likelihood of that so data point to be those clusters is assigned. So example, fuzzy clustering. So it is a clustering which data point can be more than one cluster. So in simple words, it is quite opposite to hard clustering. In soft clustering, instead of putting each data point into a separate cluster, a probabilistic or probability or likelihood of the data point to be in those clusters is assigned. Example, we can take fuzzy cluster. Next question. What is optics in data mining? What is optics in data mining? So optics stands for ordering points to identify the clustering structure. So it is an algorithm for finding density basing clusters in spatial data. So its basic idea is similar to DB scan. So it is this one also similar to DB scan, but the major weakness of DB scan will be rectified by this. So that one is detecting meaningful clusters in the data of varying density. So same optic also DB scan, but one drawback of DB scan will be solved by this clustering method. So ordering, optic stands for ordering points to identify the clustering structure. Is an algorithm for finding density based spatial data. So its basic idea is similar to DB scan, but it attempts or it addresses one of its in the sense DB scans major weaknesses so that is the problem of detecting meaningful clusters data of varying density. Description of this optics in data mining. Next question. What are the two parameters required by DB scan algorithm? what are the two parameters required by hdb scan algorithm? So in hdb scan algorithm, it requires only two parameters. That one is epsilon and minimum points. So epsilon is a radius of the circle to be created around each data point to check the density, and minimum points is the minimum number of data points required inside the circle. These are the two parameters. So first one is epsilon. So it is nothing but radius of the circle to be created and around each data point to check the density. Next one is minimum points. So minimum number of data points required inside that circle for data point to be classified. How many minimum number of points inside the circle? So this is the second parameters. Next question. How is HDB scan better than DB scan? How is HDB scan better than DB scan? So DB scans need minimum cluster size and distance threshold epsilon as user defined input parameter, but HDB scan basically a DB scan implementation for varying of epsilon values, and therefore only needs the minimum cluster size as a single input parameters. Actually HDB scan total algorithm is same, but instead of that two parameters can use only that epsilon value. So only needs the minimum cluster size as single input parameter. HDB scan only needs the minimum cluster size as single input parameter. So that's why it is better than HDB scan. Last question of the day. So what is cluster quality? What is cluster quality? The quality of clustering results depends on both the similarity measures used by method and its implementation. And the quality of the clustering is also measured by its ability to discover some or all the hidden patterns. So what are the hidden patterns in the data set? It should be discovered. So measured by ability to discover some or all of the hidden patterns. Quality is depending on measure its ability to discover some or all hidden patterns in our data sets. Okay, and these are the questions I have covered from the clustering. I hope it is helpful for you. So thank you, friends. So tomorrow we will discuss with one more topic.